Greetings friends, I am Obsidian. Earlier on, Dafuk Boom finally released the highly anticipated episode 73 part 1 of Skibidi Toilet. We have been waiting for more than 2 weeks, and we finally got it. This episode was crazily good with so much action happening, massive lore drops, and also another shock in the series which likely made everyone in the community gasp over this particular scene, and it pretty much confirms some particular theories. But before we get into today's video, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss future analysis and theory videos from me. Also, give my video a like, as it will help me out. Let's begin. The scene begins where we are back in episode 70 part 3, and we are once again met with Plunger Cameraman and my beloved brother Dark Speakerman on the floor, with my sis, who is trying to hold him and probably trying to wake him up again. In this episode, we are in the POV of Camera Woman throughout the whole episode, and this episode showed greatly that she would carry on with the legacy for Plunger Cameraman, and she would be the one to succeed him. I did theorize about this a couple of videos ago before episode 71 came out. In the theory video for episode 71, I mentioned how we would continue with being in the POV of Camera Woman, and we would be the one to take on Plungerman's mantle, and it looks like I was right. I knew that we were going to be in the POV of Camera Woman. Dom Studio had done it twice, and I knew it was only a matter of time for it to happen in the original series. Anyway, we see Plunger Cameraman look to his right, as he has probably just noticed Lucky Cameraman, or the twin green cameraman, and we also see the Chad Large Cameraman's lens he removed, on the floor, as we then turn to Speaker Woman and the deceased body of my brother. Camera Woman tries to put her hand on the shoulder of Speaker Woman to comfort her, but she shrugs it off, since she is deeply upset about Dark Speakerman, and to be honest, so am I. She clearly wants some time alone with him, as those are going to be her final moments with him. From what we know, maybe they were partners in the original series or relatives like how they are in my universe, but whichever it is, it's still sad anyway, and Speaker Woman clearly needs some time off. This scene really did hit me hard again, and it was a tough watch to see my brother looking like that again. The scene changes back to looking at Plunger Cameraman, who has just burst into flames and is now dying. This also shows that the secret agent's conversation with Plunger Cameraman went very quick in real time, as Plunger Cameraman went up into flames a couple of seconds after Camera Woman looked at him initially. But in Plunger Cameraman's consciousness, the conversation clearly lasted for a little longer, while before being burnt up into flames. So this gives me the impression that the secret agent has some element of time control, and he stopped time for a bit, to be able to have that conversation with Plunger Cameraman, and then he resumed time at the right time that Camera Woman ended up looking back at Plungerman, who just ended up getting caught in flames. This scene is clearly the ending scene of episode 70 part 3, where you can see the hand of Camera Woman trying to reach out, but she gets pulled back by TV Woman. However, this time, we don't get to see the recording continue. Instead, it suddenly pauses, and the screen goes into static. But if you also look closely, there are images inside of it, including the start of the war at episode 8, but also most recent events like a couple of seconds ago, when Plunger Cameraman and Dark Speakerman shook hands for one last time, but from the perspective of Camera Woman, we then also saw a shot of upgraded Titan TV Man in one of these glitches. I assume it was from episode 66 or 67. We get a scene change, and we are back to episode 57, where we see TV Woman taking Plunger Cameraman out of the battle, when we thought he all died for the first time, but he was actually just badly injured by infected Titan Speakerman, and we as Camera Woman also saw TV Woman teleporting him away. In another static moment, we see the Hydra toilet from episode 24, when we get the reveal of the Speakerman. The next scene shows the POV of Camera Woman standing next to Plunger Cameraman in episode 52, when she was introduced for the first time, technically. This was also just before they kill off all the Skibidi toilets via Camera Woman's lock-on dart gun she used to have behind her back. We see another pixelated image, and this is episode 26 with the large Speakerman's introduction to the series. The scene has changed again, and we see a cameraman crouched down, and he is most likely still Plunger Cameraman, who is hiding around a corner. He's actually done this before in episode 45, during the fight between infected Titan Speakerman and Titan Cinemaman. We saw him hiding around a corner, as well as the secret agent nearby, and that was also his first appearance in this series. Anyway, the Plunger Cameraman in this flashback had a red tie, and we know that this was Plunger Cameraman because this is a series of Camera Woman's memories with him, and he did used to have a red tie, back in episode 43 when he was sat on a toilet alongside mech scientist cameraman, one of the cameramen in the cameraman base, and the twin brother of Lucky Cameraman with the black camera. So this was Plunger Cameraman's look before episode 45. Also, after episode 51, Plunger Cameraman's flash structure color became black like his camera, but before episode 51, it was actually white. My guess is that this scene would be taking place after episode 38, just after G-Man Toilet leaves after preventing the cure of Titan Speakerman, and here we see everything go to chaos, as Titan Speakerman was infected still, and then after this scene, Plunger Cameraman most likely fought with the Skibidi toilets in episode 39, since that cameraman had a plunger, and then he got saved by the TV man, who then gave him a lens. But who knows if that was really him or not at this point, but I do think it's likely. Anyway, as infected Titan Speakerman roars, the scene goes static again. There are more images on which we see the large Speakerman who was badly injured, but was a true Chad after stabbing the mutant toilet in the head, who we'll get back to. Another scene shortly comes after, and it's most likely shortly after episode 23 from where Titan Cameraman had just come back from being injured by G-Man and was getting fixed up, and he just finished showing us his new finger gun ability, and now they were continuing to work on him some more. Also in this scene, you can see the scientist cameraman, who is most likely the main scientist cameraman we know as Mech. Scientist cameraman and plunger cameraman is next to him, showing that they've known each other for way longer than we know of, and we'll talk about it a little later. Anyway, plunger cameraman is also missing a leg, and he's using his plunger as a walking stick, which would suggest that he got badly injured during the next flashback we see. But before that, we have another static hidden image, and if you pause it at the right frame, it's the secret agent when he shows himself to the POV Chad Large Cameraman in episode 67 part 4, where he says look to the left, to the POV, so the Chad Large Cameraman could see the real scientist toilet emerging and still being alive after his first Titan body got decimated by upgraded Titan TV man. In this next scene, we are shown what is another perspective of episode 14, or maybe it is just after episode 14 ended, because we see the fast rocket toilet in this, and we know that in episode 14, he was in a killing spree on the roads, killing everyone and everything he saw, so this is most likely the continuation of that, and we all know that this Skibidi left this world in episode 20 by sacrificing himself to injure Titan Cameraman. However, that is not the important part of this flashback, because clearly this shows that Camera Woman and Plunger Cameraman was there from the beginning, but we also see Simp Cameraman to the right, sitting on a toilet next to two other cameramen who is looking at his tablet, and oh my, he's probably simping again, so he has a history of simping, and we don't even know if it was only for TV Woman or not, but whatever it was, he just can't stop simping. He really lives up to his name, and I wonder when we are going to see him again, as Boom confirmed a while back that he wasn't dead and that Boom had some interesting plans for him. Maybe he is a threat to us that we won't see coming. Who knows? Then, we pan across and we see some large cameramen, but most importantly we see a scientist cameraman, who is more likely the same scientist cameraman who was next to Plunger Cameraman in the flashback before this one, so this suggests that this scientist cameraman is more than likely to be the mech scientist cameraman, and then we see Lucky Cameraman behind Plunger Cameraman to our left, just looking at us with his arms crossed. We knew he was here since the beginning, but this more than likely confirms that these 5 guys are the main special agents of the cameraman race, and they were all close even before the war started. Anyway, we see Plunger Cameraman marching towards the fast rocket toilet as we see Lucky Cameraman run away, like he did in episode 56, when running away from upgraded infected Titan Speakerman. The recording freezes as Plunger Cameraman marches towards the fast rocket toilet with one plunger. One can only assume that he more than likely lost that battle, and he lost a leg in the process. But since Camera Woman and Mech Scientist Cameraman were there, they most likely took him back to the cameraman base to patch him up a little bit. And then we see him during this time with Titan Cameraman in the previous flashback, as they're both in the works for getting repaired. So, those 2 flashbacks are more than likely linked with Plunger Cameraman. In another static image, we see the buzzsaw toilet from episode 48 and episode 49, before he gets killed off under TV Woman's influence. A new scene appears soon after, and on the screen it says September 16th, 1965, at 10:30 in the morning. This is someone who is videoing in a facility, and we soon see it's a beautiful woman with glasses and brown hair, and oh damn, but anyway. She goes over to the man on the right, and she says, "Dave, look back." Then she does a double thumbs up. This to me would appear to be camera woman when she was a human, as she is the only one of the camera race who does a double thumbs up, and Dave, who is standing next to her, is more than likely to be plunger cameraman. Human plunger cameraman says to her, "Nah, I'm good," with camera woman shrugging her shoulders and saying all right, and turns her back on the camera. The blonde scientist on the left then says, "Okay, we're all set. Proceed with phase 1, Kathy." Perhaps Kathy was the name of camera woman before she turned into a camera, and also in the room with them are mech scientist cameraman, who is most likely the blonde scientist to the furthest left, and the man nearby Kathy is unknown. So far, there has been no such cameraman with this kind of outfit in the series. Maybe we will see him soon. However, before I continue, there is actually one more human, if you pause it just right, as Kathy is setting up the camera. We see a person walking by, and the pants and clothes of this person are the same type of shade and color as that of Lucky Cameraman. So this shows that Lucky Cameraman was also a human scientist in the cameraman lab. For some reason, he is being kept secret in this recording, but I am sure that we will learn more about his backstory soon. Kathy says back to the mech scientist, "Human okay," opening the gate, which shows us a wave of blue energy beaming across the room. This has to be the testing of the blue core energy, which would eventually be for Titan Cameraman, and they were doing tests to see if the experiment went correctly, which it likely did. The scene changes, and we now see camera woman as the POV once again. She looks down at her tablet with the screen all pixelated. Also on this tablet, we see cameraman 69, which is amusing to say the least, and we all know what Dafuk's humor is like at this point. But he did forget to likely change the cameraman to camera woman, but it's no big deal. POV. Camera woman looks up from her tablet and looks to her left, where she sees a speakerman going to the edge of the camera copter they are in, and then puts her tablet away before standing up and joining the team. If you weren't aware, this very speakerman was in the secret scenes of season 23, where he is the one to help up Lucky Cameraman when he was on the floor, and he also briefly showed up in episode 69 in the reinforcement squad's arrival scene. The other cameramen fly out as camera woman cocks her guns and jumps into the action by flying down while shooting some Skibidi helicopter toilets in the air, before kicking the upgraded samurai Skibidi toilet that we saw from the leak on the merch store. We also see that 2 cameramen agents are currently lasering with their guns. POV camera woman kicks the sunglasses off the samurai Skibidi toilet, who tries to attack her with his buzzsaw, but she quickly takes aim with her arm dart guns and fires some rounds into the samurai Skibidi's eyes. This particular toilet's body reminds me an awful lot like the C-Pen body from Dom Studio, except this is a toilet with that kind of body, which is very peculiar. Maybe it's made of the same material or something, who knows. The samurai toilet tries to attack POV camera woman, but she quickly moves out of the way, and then she jumps onto the toilet's buzzsaw, and she then brings out plunger cameraman's trusted spiked plunger and begins to hit him with it, like plunger cameraman did to the mutant toilet in episode 69, before stabbing him straight in the face, like plunger cameraman did to the mute claw toilet and scientist toilet in episode 70 part 2 and 70 part 3. This in turn makes the samurai toilet scream in pain. POV camera woman acts fast and puts 2 grenade toilet paper rolls into the Skibidi toilet's bowl before flying backwards to get away, and does a 2 middle finger salute to him and watches as he blows up whilst making a screaming meme sound. POV camera woman goes over to a medic engineer cameraman and tries to help him up, but his left hand is no longer there, so she brings out her right hand to grab his right and picks him up. Just as they look at each other, an explosion hits nearby them, and POV camera woman turns around to see a couple of irrelevant Skibidi toilets. POV camera woman locks in on all 5 toilets, and we actually see that we get a red filter when this mode is on, and it's very interesting. Also, we see that her gun in the back has been upgraded to an effective blaster that takes each one out with ease, and then turns back around to see that medic engineer cameraman stood up, and she sees half of a large cameraman, who is of course on the floor with a buzzsaw in his chest. Both of them do a thumbs up to camera woman, before she begins to travel across the area to follow 2 other reinforcement cameramen, and are likely trying to get through to the door that is close to them. Before they can do anything, a Skibidi mutant toilet sends a blast to one of the cameramen who were in front and lands, where we see he has the other cameraman who was in front in his hand, and then crushes him to death like Titan Cameraman does. This blood really thinks he is Titan Cameraman. Maybe he should join our side. Also, We have seen this mutant toilet before in episode 62, where he was seen towards the end of the episode ripping a large cameraman in half and menacingly walking up to the POV cameraman from that episode before the buzzsaw mutant toilet took him out. Then we saw this same guy in episode 63, and in that episode he got rammed on by the glitch plunger cameraman multiple times, before getting killed by the GigaChad large speakerman. As we remember, he got stabbed in the head. I have evidence to support that this is the same mutant toilet from that episode. First of all, he did the same menacing walk with the same menacing grin towards camera woman, which is what he did in episode 62. Secondly, he has the same face model, height and body type as that mutant toilet from episode 62 and 63. Thirdly, his face is a bit reddened because of how he got rammed in episode 63. Fourthly, he has a headband, probably covering up where he got stabbed by that Chad large speakerman. Obviously, he is more robotic now. The Skibidi toilets clearly took this mutant's corpse because they knew he was a stronger mutant, and then they probably brought him back with more electronic parts and stuff like that, so he is clearly going to have a lack of blood now, which means he is going to be harder to defeat, and it explains why he looks jacked, because he's been upgraded and souped up. He is clearly now like the mutant toilets from episode 72 that had no real blood and could get up after being stabbed through the head. Anyway, apart from him, we can also see two other Skibidi toilets, but they are equipped with rockets and ready to attack the Alliance. As the mutant Skibidi toilet that now looks like Rambo with that headband begins to walk eerily towards camera woman, a sudden explosion from nearby stops him in his tracks and spooks him, causing him to fly away in fear that it might be the Titans. POV camera Omen turns around to see the Titan scientist Skibidi toilet from the bunker in episode 70 part 3 coming into the scene. But instead of attacking camera woman, the robot scientist Skibidi toilet instead attacks the Skibidi toilets in the sky instead, exploding them in the process as his 3 lasers hit them. Not going to lie, this scene completely confused me and had me wondering if the scientist had actually come back. But as we noticed, this was a robot controlled by someone else, which was a smart move from the Alliance themselves. Camera woman looks down at her tablet, and there we see it's none other than TV woman who is controlling the robot scientist toilet. Now, out of anyone, it would make sense for it to be TV woman controlling it, as she herself is a parasite that can control mechanical Skibidi toilets. But since the Skibidi scientist Titan is an actual robotic shell, she doesn't need to control it herself when she can just control it manually. We see her put the peace sign up and the uwu face before camera woman looks up and gives a thumbs up to TV woman in the robot scientist toilet. We suddenly hear some nearby 3 Skibidi toilets coming into the scene, who are all carrying containers and have not noticed anything suspicious as they go by. But as the 4th Skibidi toilet carrying a container comes into the scene behind the other ones, TV woman attacks it, lasering them, making it drop the container it had. But before anything can happen, G-Man has appeared and has put his shield up to protect him from the laser blast of the robot scientist Skibidi. This is also the recent leak that Dafuk gave out, and many were wondering what was wrong with him, but we certainly did not have this in mind. G-Man is clearly upset that his best friend is now used against him, and he is clearly not a fan of that. This is probably the part where he finds out that the scientist toilet is really dead. G-Man puts his shield down in confusion, and POV camera woman looks back at the robot scientist Skibidi toilet, where it begins to laugh like a maniac and attacks G-Man once again. But as always, he puts his shield up for protection and then goes to bash into the side of the robot scientist toilet, which makes the robot fly a little bit out of place, and it breaks the right top laser of the robot. Robot scientist Skibidi toilet begins to shoot his 2 remaining bottom lasers towards G-Man again, but G-Man's 4 laser blasts prove to be more powerful, causing the robot scientist Skibidi toilet to crash down to the floor, but G-Man double taps the robot scientist Skibidi toilet one last time so that the Alliance can't use it again. This made camera woman put her hand out because she knows that TV woman is inside the robot. Hopefully TV woman didn't just die, or else elite cameraman will go crazy, and TBH, this was off screen, so I don't think she died. Maybe she teleported away in time, but is somewhat injured. POV camera woman looks at G-Man and 2 nearby Skibidicopters going back to attach to the container before flying up a little and begins to attack one of the Skibidicopters with a few blasts, before G-Man begins to fire his lasers up at camera woman, but suddenly stops when we begin to hear blasts from nearby, which kills the Skibidicopter, bringing it down with the container in the process. G-Man looks to where the blasts came from and comes face to face with Titan Speakerman, who we then see he was sitting down and then stands up looking pretty pissed during this scene as he readies up his guns to some Valve cowboy music. POV camerawoman looks to the side of Titan Speakerman and sees Titan cameraman flying in with his new Astro arm. G-Man shows no fear though. He turns around thinking he's about to run away, or maybe expecting Titan TV Man anyway. When he turns around, smoke from a teleport appears and out walks Titan TV Man, who definitely does not look like he is here to play games anymore. Titan TV Man looks at G-Man and says there is nowhere else to run, but G-Man looks around just to smirk a bit and he replies to Titan TV Man in English, which was probably just as shocking when we heard Detainer Astro Toilet talk in English for the first time too. But to be honest, I knew he would speak English and I knew it was only a matter of time. Besides, he probably knew this was his last stance against the Titans, so he might as well get his words out to the Titans so that they can understand before he dies. G-Man says, "Fools, you have no idea what is coming," and this line was also in the recent leak we got from Dafuk, where we were given multiple Easter eggs that were very easy to spot. Titan TV Man then replies to G-Man and says, "Whatever is coming, you won't survive to see it." As he delivers this line, you can see a mad face on his screen, which suggests Titan TV Man is also pissed and wants G-Man dead at last from what G-Man Toilet caused him to go through back in episode 47. G-Man begins to fire his lasers up at Titan TV Man whilst getting angrier, but the scene ends on a cliffhanger. Who knows though, maybe G-Man will die in the next part or in episode 74, and we will see the threat that is coming in. Episode 74, maybe it's the first ever Skibidi Toilet, who is now a big mutant Titan, and he's also going to be a bigger problem for the Alliance. Or maybe G-Man is warning the Titans that the Astro Toilet and their league is what's coming, and they have no idea how powerful they really are, but who knows? I guess only time will tell. So, Dafuk has really outdone himself on this episode, and it was worth the few weeks wait for it, because we got an incredible episode full of so much action and lore, and a story behind Plunger Cameraman and Camera Woman. But what did you think, friends? Did you enjoy the episode? If you did, write it in the comments as well as any theories you have, as they are always welcome. Also, I have a Discord, where you are welcome to join, where I will have Skibidi leaks, and you can come chat to the amazing community I am building. Thank you for watching my video. I was Obsidian, and until next time, my friends.